Sorry.
I mean, you can try and like hold it up. Welcome to the third show of the second semester for the Seneca Scout. During this show, we will have a wide variety of both international and local stories. I'm Caleb McGill.
And I'm Savannah Morley. Last week, the most prominent Russian leader, Alexei Navalny, died in prison only a day after seen in Russian court. Laughing and cracking jokes, making light of the Russian justice system. Navalny was poisoned in 2022 by the Russian government on a flight home from deep in the woods in Siberia, where he was trying to connect with Russian countrymen. However, not confirmed by the Kremlin, most Western governments believe the Russian government was behind the poisoning. Navalny was treated in Germany, where he slandered the Russian government for his attempt on his life. Upon his return to Russia, he was promptly thrown in prison, where he remained from 2020 until his death this year. The official cause of death laid out by the Russian bureaucrats is sudden death syndrome. According to an anonymous prisoner at the Arctic prison, ambulances and medical staff arrived only after Navalny's death was made publicly known and after a large commotion. It is still unclear if Navalny was using chemical means as attempted in 2020 or simply a result of the horrid conditions in Russian prisons.
On Sunday, a fire broke out overnight at a local Butler restaurant, W. Rick's Tap Room and Grill. The blaze started during the night with no discernible cause. The fire damaged the roof and front part of the building, with the back half of the building appearing unaffected. Nothing is salvageable, meaning the whole building will have to be demolished. Multiple departments responded to the fire, those being Butler Township, Connequenessing, Penn Township, and others. No one was harmed by or in the fire.
Local police are weighing in on the Seneca Valley yearly tradition for the seniors, the Assassins Game. Assassins is a non-school related group activity where participants are randomly assigned a target, and they have to track them down and hit them with a water gun. 2 weeks ago on the Jackson Township Police Facebook page, there was a post about potential dangers of assassins. Police worry that people running around in public with water guns in the dark, some civilians might think that the guns are real and start a panic, or worse, distract the police from cases that do matter. While there have been no reports of assassins causing legal trouble yet in Jackson Township is still trying to warn them about it early.
On February 16th, NASA opened applications for a simulation of living on Mars for a full year. The 4 selected participants will be living and working inside a 1,700 square foot 3D printed habitat based on NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This year-long experiment will simulate the challenges of a mission on Mars, including resource limitations, equipment failure, communication delays, and other environmental stressors. Crew tasks include simulated spacewalks, robotic operations, habitat maintenance, exercise, and crop growth. Applicants must be between the ages of 30 and 35, a non-smoker, and proficient in English for effective communication. Crew members should have a master's degree in STEM, such as engineering, mathematics, or science. If they do not have a degree in these, they might either have completed a medical degree, a test pilot program, or have completed officer military training. This simulation is being run by CHAPIA, Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog, and they are planning on kicking it off by the spring of 2025.
An object that researchers say is 500 trillion times brighter than the sun has been discovered 12 billion light years away. The object is what is called a quasar that is powered by the fastest growing black hole ever recorded, eating the equivalent of about the mass of one sun per day. Christian Wolff, the lead author and Australian National University Associate Professor, said that the growth meant a, quote, huge release of light and heat, end quote. He doubts that this record is ever going to be beaten as the most illuminated object ever recorded. This beast was described as hiding in plain sight, as it was misidentified as a star before the European Southern Observatory, where it was first spotted. Later, the observations from telescopes in Australia and Chile identified it as what we know it is today.
The Seneca Valley JROTC marksman team competed in a 2-day shooting competition in Perry, Ohio this past weekend. The goal of the regional competition is to make nationals, which will be held at the same base in Perry, Ohio later this year. Seneca Valley brought 7 people to regionals, 5 students and 2 team managers. First Sergeant Latier and Lieutenant Keebler, Battalion Commander Logan Randall said, quote, "The marksmen were asked to perform 20 shots in the prone, kneeling, and standing position, and every shot was worth anywhere from 1 to 10 points," end quote. Shooters were ranked individually based on their score, but each shooter's score was added together to make up the team's score. Seneca Valley placed 5th out of 200 teams, but will unfortunately not get the chance to compete at nationals. Seneca Valley just missed the mark by 90 points.
On Monday night, the Seneca Valley hockey team played at Barrel Ice Complex against North Allegheny. Unfortunately, the Raiders lost in a close game with a final score of 4-3. In the first period, Raiders scored the first goal, scored by Marshall Hewitt, assisted by Adam Rogalski. Goal number 2 was scored by John Skroa, and the third scored by CJ Borick, assisted by Ethan Wright. It was a continuation of back-and-forth points scored with the North Allegheny Tigers, scoring the final 2 goals in the third period. Seneca sits at the top of the AAA with a record of 15-4. The next and final game of the season will be held on February 26th at Barrel Ice Complex against Peters Township. And thank you for watching tonight's show. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday, guys.